Silas Crane woke with the deeply unsettling certainty that his bunk had shrunk overnight. The Royal Maintenance quarters were never generous with space, but this was different. Warmer, heavier, alive. He lay still, eyes closed, doing the mental checklist of a man hoping reality would correct itself if ignored long enough. Station hum vibrating through the bulkhead, gravity steady, air recycled and faintly metallic. Then a soft weight pressed against his chest, another against his side, both breathing in the uneven rhythm of children deep in sleep. Silas opened one eye. Two small figures were curled against him, tangled in his blanket as if they had always belonged there. Pale skin faintly luminous in the low station light, fine blonde hair spread across his pillow, long delicate ears tapered to gentle points, twitching once before settling again. Alien children, very real, very asleep. His first thought was that this was a stress hallucination brought on by 12-hour shifts and nutrient-paced dinners. His second thought was that hallucinations usually didn't drool on your uniform. The distant station alarms began their dignified wail, engineered to inspire urgency without panic. Silas sighed. Of course they did. Somewhere beyond his door, the Royal Station was sealing itself like a vault. Guards flooding corridors. Advisors whispering disasters into crystal communicators. He'd heard the word lockdown enough times to know what it meant for everyone else. It had never meant he was harboring missing royalty in his bed. One of the girls shifted, pressing her forehead against his collarbone. Her small fingers tightened in his shirt with surprising strength. The other mumbled something unintelligible and scooted closer, clearly offended by the concept of personal space. Silas froze, arms hovering awkwardly, unsure whether moving would somehow make this worse. Okay. He whispered to the ceiling. Statistically speaking, this is new. He had seen the twins before, always at a distance. Liza and me, the Queen's daughters. Their faces were known across the station from ceremonial broadcasts and security bulletins. In person they were smaller, less regal, and currently using him as a mattress. Footsteps thundered past his door. Voices barked clipped commands in the sharp consonants of palace security. Silas calculated his options with the speed of a man who repaired reactors for a living. Option 1, scream. Option 2, pretend to be dead. Option 3, accept that his life had quietly derailed sometime after he fell asleep. The door panel chimed. Both girls stirred instantly, eyes snapping open, pupils wide and luminous. They didn't cry. They didn't scream. They latched onto him like frightened satellites, burying their faces against his chest as if he were the safest object in the universe. Silas made a small helpless sound as the door slid open and armored guards filled the frame. For a long moment no one spoke. Silas raised one hand in a tentative wave. Mourning. No one rushed forward. That, more than the weapons carefully angled away from the bed, told him how badly things had gone off script. The guards filled the doorway like a wall of polished alloy, armor humming softly as adaptive plates adjusted to threat probabilities that clearly had no category for sleeping children clinging to a human technician. One guard slowly raised a hand, palm outward, as if Silas were a wild animal that might spook if startled. I hadn't planned on moving, Silas said mildly. They've unionized. The joke landed poorly, but it kept his voice steady. The twins peeked out just long enough to confirm the room was now full of strangers, then buried themselves against him again. Silas felt their long ears press against his neck, warm and trembling. He adjusted the blanket around them on instinct. The guards exchanged glances. Hurried footsteps approached, then slowed. A hush rippled through the station like a held breath. Advisors straightened. Guards snapped to attention. Even the alarms seemed to lower their volume. Queen Zephyr stepped into the doorway. She was taller than Silas remembered from broadcasts, her presence bending the room around her without effort. Golden chains adorned her long ears, swaying slightly as she stopped short, eyes fixing on the scene. For a heartbeat, she said nothing. The twins felt her before they saw her. Their bodies went rigid. "Mother," one whispered. Zephyr took a single step forward, then stopped when both girls whimpered and clutched Silas tighter. Her expression didn't fracture, but something in her eyes did, a nearly invisible crack in a surface honed by decades of rule. Silas swallowed. "Your Majesty," he said, because apparently today he was greeting monarchs from bed. "I can explain, or I can panic. I'm flexible." Zephyr raised one hand, silencing the advisors without looking. She studied Silas now, not as a ruler assessing a threat, but as a mother trying to understand a mystery. He smelled of lubricant and ozone. His quarters were cluttered with tools and half-repaired panels. He did not look powerful. He looked tired, and yet her daughters would not let him go. "How long have they been here?" she asked. "Since before I woke up," Silas said. "I'm a heavy sleeper." That earned him a sharp look from one guard, as if sleeping were a dereliction of duty. Zephyr lowered herself to one knee. "Me. Come to me?" They did not move. Silas felt their hearts racing through their small bodies. He raised his hands slightly, palms open. "I haven't told them to do anything," he said. "I don't think I could, even if I tried." The Queen's gaze softened despite herself. She reached out, stopping just short of touching them. "You are safe," she said gently. The twins exchanged a glance, then shook their heads in perfect unison. "No guards," one murmured. "No shouting," the other added. Silas winced. Somewhere in the palace, an advisor probably just fainted. Zephyr straightened. "Clear the room." The protests died under her gaze. The guards withdrew. The advisors vanished. When the door slid shut, the station felt suddenly very small. "You will come to the council chamber," Zephyr said. "All of you," Silas nodded. "That makes sense. Should I stand? Or is this a carry situation?" One twin yawned and promptly fell back asleep on his chest. The council chamber had been designed to intimidate. Silas hated it. Vast curved walls of luminous alloy, shifting star maps, a transparent dome opening onto endless space. He entered carrying both princesses, one clinging to each side, because they had loudly objected to any other arrangement. Conversations died as he crossed the threshold. "This is cozy," Silas said, very welcoming. "Really brings out my pores." No one laughed. A medical drone floated closer, humming softly. Both girls stiffened, grips tightening until Silas wheezed. "Okay," he said quickly. "No humming robots." The drone retreated, dimming its lights like a chastened pet. Silas explained everything honestly, because he didn't know how to do anything else. He fell asleep. He woke up. They were there. He didn't lure them, summon them, or knowingly harbor royalty. "They talked to me," he added, "mostly about machines and biscuits. Your station biscuits are not great. They taste sad," one of the girls said solemnly. The chamber shifted, assumptions quietly breaking. "Why you?" Zephyr asked. Silas hesitated, then answered simply, "My room is quiet. The lights are dim. Nothing explodes near it, and I don't shout." The twins tightened their grip in agreement. By the time Silas realized he'd been reassigned, no one had technically said the word. His communicator traced a polite, glowing route straight into the royal wing. "This feels like the part where I'm supposed to ask permission," he muttered. "You already belong to us," me said matter-of-factly. Silas stopped. "Could you repeat that? But in a way that doesn't sound like I've been claimed as territory." "You are ours because you are safe," Lisa said. Silas resumed walking. Still concerning, but better. The station began to change. Doors opened faster for him. Environmental systems adjusted preemptively. The background hum shifted pitch, like an old machine rewriting its routines after deciding a variable was permanent. The twins followed him everywhere, arguing over tools, negotiating politely with dangerous machinery. Then the lights dimmed. Unauthorized command override internal origin. Silas fixed it the only way he knew how, tracing sloppy conspirators through service corridors no one important ever remembered existed. Guards moved. Threats vanished, the station breathed again. Later, much later, Silas sat near a flickering light panel while the twins slept nearby. They hadn't come to him because he was special. They had come because he stayed. The station settled into a new rhythm, reluctantly at first, then all at once. Silas Crane, maintenance technician, became a constant in the most carefully controlled place in the galaxy. He adjusted the blanket, checked the lights, and smiled. Some things, once repaired, didn't need improvement.